Oh, that backlight was fun.
Just want to have one little share with you guys. Yes, I am running for the third term right now. And my little share has to do with being a green candidate or a green serving board member. So I've served 2 terms. During the first term, I learned about how, I thought, yeah, where everybody runs separately, but once you're on, you're serving and you're a part of this team. And that's all there is to it. And I think that it could work that way depending on some communities. But in this community, it doesn't really work that way. It's not so smooth. And I experienced quite a bit of divisive attitudes that, don't you know she's a green, you shouldn't be, or she's not a Dem, you shouldn't be working with her. Because the reality is that out of 15 elected people, 14 have been Democrats, and then there's myself. And so I had to learn to navigate through that. It's like, how do I move pieces that have my agenda that I want to move? And I know that there are others who think similarly, but because I'm a green, that I needed to figure out how to move these pieces separately, or in a different manner. So one piece I came around was an equity and diversity policy that I had been a part with some people in another group. And what this policy does is it says that whenever there is discrepancy within any of demographics within the school community, that we have the obligation when it's brought, when we know about this, to go back and say, what are the different, what does the system have in place that allows one group to have such an outcome and another group to have another outcome? But knowing that my fellow board members weren't going to necessarily be excited about my endeavors, because again, I'm a green, what I did was I worked with CABE, the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, and kind of was able to work with them to show how important this policy could be as a sample policy for the state. And eventually, after moving certain workshops and things with them, that they were able to adopt, they chose to adopt that as a sample policy. Worked with a lawyer from education and worked with some other people that were able to push this, and we were able to pass at the Connecticut Association of the Boards of Education, the Connecticut level, this as a sample policy. From there, bringing that back to the London Board of Education, and from there saying, see, this is from CABE, it's not for me, and they're a reputable, state level organization, and of course they're not majority green, so isn't this fantastic? Don't we need this as well? In which case it passed unanimously here in London. So just a little example of working with setting, having the agenda of the equity and the diversity and being able to work that through in our communities when sometimes there's a little bit of resistance. So that's it. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience on the board.
Welcome to the City of New London, and thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate you all being here. I'm going to talk to you why I decided to run on the Green Party side. I joined the Green Party, when I decided actually to run for Board of Education. And it was actually what really hit me hard was the values that we have as a Green Party. And not only because of the values that we have in the party, but because I believe those values should be everywhere in our society, within our schools, within our city halls, and everywhere in the world. Those are the values that will bring to peace and justice for all the people in the world. I'm really passionate to be part of the Team Green with Myrna, mostly because I look out after her because she's kind of my mentor. This is my first time running. I'm only 24-years old. I don't have any experience in politics other than running for student council in college, which I thought actually was very more tough because there were like 7 different parties within my college when I was running for vice presidency. But I'm running also because I believe that our schools need a shift out from what we know as an educational system right now, and we need to have more policies that are in the benefit of our community instead of only just a few people in our schools. So that's it that I have to say for now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I have some literature out there. We have Green Party. We have our Team Green T-shirts that Rana is modeling and Bob is also modeling too. So yeah, thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate you all, and I really appreciate our values. And I'm really glad and I'm blessed to be here with you all, sharing those same values with the Green Party.
Hi folks, I will use the microphone because I guess my voice got quieter after spending an entire class trying to describe a Supreme Court case today. We'll pick it up though. I'm running for RTM, the 2nd District. It's not on that map, but it's everything on top of it. And you know, it's been going well. Our objective has been to knock on every door in Waterford. I'm getting close to that objective. I am finding areas of Waterford that I did not know even existed. The other day, as Matt can attest, we ended up down behind the railroad tracks in some marina yard trying to convince the boat workers to vote for me. You know, that's enough about my campaign. Generally, people who are campaigning, and I want to thank you all for what you're doing, all the candidates that are running. And I know Josh too. Josh has had some interesting experiences. I believe he's had 2 police cruisers called on him. 1 man threatened to shoot him, and 1 Democratic candidate say that the Kellys and the Welch Collinses were all very bad people.
That sounds like a New London campaign.
And not just them, their whole families.
Our whole families,
Yeah.
cows and dogs, the whole 9 yards.
Marcy is just,
Yeah, Marcy. But I do want to say a little bit about the 2 New London candidates. You know, I've started assistant teaching at the William Jennings Bryan Middle School in New London, and specifically with all the English language learner students. And you know, just listening to their stories.
Wait, what school? Penny Dover.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because one is at Jennings is the elementary school.
Yes, Benny Dover Jackson.
Yeah.
Going to the other one.
They try to confuse the out-of-towners.
Benny Dover Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the English language learners. Listening to their stories, many of them were from Puerto Rico, and you know, almost hearing their experience in the school system and looking at the statistics of what awaits them. You know, I think that we could definitely use you 2 on the New London Board of Education. So
Yes.
that's my 2 cents. Who's up next?
Well, I'm one of those very bad people. I'm Bill Collins, and I'm running for Zoning Board of Appeals. And I'm expecting to have lots of conflict over issues that come up should I get elected, because there's going to be, I'm sure, all kinds of conflicts between preserving the environment and the appearance and quality of life in Waterford, and the growth of small business and the broadening of the tax base. And I expect to use it to unite speak over that issue when it comes up, or any of those issues. I'm also going to advocate whenever and wherever possible for installing permeable pavements. The advantages are obvious. For one thing, they don't develop potholes and cracks as readily as current pavement. Plus, the water goes right through and is absorbed and doesn't run off into the gutters and the sound. So, that's pretty much it, I think. Anybody else? Who's next?
My name is Carl D'Amato. I'm running for RTM District 4. I have never run for anything, though I've run from a lot of stuff. So I'm new to politics, and I guess the reason I got involved is because I feel really strongly that there are 2 sides fighting, and things don't get done as a result. Having a strong third party should help get things done. So I'm hoping to be able to work with whoever to get things done. And it may be actually that getting something done means doing nothing, like preserving land that is a resource that you don't have to develop. The other thing that it seems to me is, as an educator, the vast majority of town budgets goes to education, so anybody involved in local politics really needs to be involved in education. That's all.
Hi there. I'm Owen Charles, and I'm running for Board of Finance in Madison. I've actually been on that board before, and I've run before, but as Democrat, and it's really invigorating and inspiring to A, run my own campaign, not Bernie's campaign, or somebody else's, and B, to run as a Green, because I feel like I can really say what I mean and say what I think, and that I'm not self-censoring all the time. Now, I don't have an environment where there are 14 out of 15 seats that are Democrat. The Democrats in Madison have the minimum amount that are required by minority status. But they still seem to have the same approach. I don't want to badmouth Democrats because there are a lot of friends that I have still in the Democrats, but there's an approach that, I'm a challenge because I'll take away that one of two minority seats, minority representation seats. So in that respect, I face some of those same kind of challenges that you mentioned, Ron. But also, there's just the challenge of being a new, presence, a new party in Madison. And Madison is a Republican town. So it's I've run campaigns there before. I've served on the Board of Finance before. There's a feeling that, there's a chance this year because people are upset in general about unethical government, conflicts of interest, and those are issues that I'm addressing. I would like to establish a conflict, an ethics board. We don't have that, and strengthen the policy. Open up government a little bit more to people by inviting them to meetings and surveying them and letting more people speak than just those who have time and show up to the town meetings and are just anti-tax. And unfortunately, I don't think it represents the majority of people in Madison, but that is the overwhelming message that our local government gets is just cut, cut, cut. So our education system suffers, and our students suffer, and even the quality of life in Madison, this wealthy town, suffers because we have this short-term, penny-wise, pound-foolish approach. So that's what I'm trying to counter, and I think even if I don't get elected, I am changing the dialogue a little bit, and I'm really inspired by that. So. Great.
Hi, everybody. I think I know most of the faces in the room, but for anyone who isn't familiar with me, my name is Josh Kelly. I'm running for RTM in Waterford's 3rd District.
Oh, you're a bad person.
Yes, I'm the OG bad person. So there's that. Tell your friends, but also vote for the bad person. So
We usually do.
yeah. Thank you for that. So I want to just first and foremost thank everyone who's running, echo Baird's sentiments. I counted up this morning. Baird will tell you that I have more spreadsheets than anyone he knows at the very least, currently open on one window and on my computer. Trying to figure out exactly how many houses we still have to go, how many houses we've been to, how many houses we've had positive interactions with, how many houses we have signs at, the whole 9 yards. I've been to over 6,500 houses. I've knocked on over 40,000 doors. And I just want to say that while I've had some great interactions, I've had people invite me in, sit me down for a cup of tea. I've had people ask me if I want lunch. I've had people, just decide that they want to tell me their life story, which is, on the flip side of that, I've had some really not so great experiences. It's really tough to try and reach out to some people across party lines, or if they're someone who simply doesn't want to be engaged. That's very difficult. That's not something that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. That's not something that we certainly ever have to face here in these meetings or in our local chapters because, well, while we may have our own internal conflicts, we're always on the same side. We're always fighting for Team Green. So for those of you who are out there, who are pushing new ideas, who are speaking for this party, who are expanding our horizons, thank you so much because none of this would be possible without each and every step and each and every door that's knocked on and each and every flyer that's handed out. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say, I guess I'll also quickly speak about Waterford's success in reaching out to community organizations. And again, I'll keep this brief. We've had great success in reaching out to state organizations like Neighborhood Pro-Choice Connecticut, as well as the AFT Teachers Union, as well as the United Auto Workers. We've received endorsements from all of those organizations, and we're still waiting to hear back from a few more, including AFSCME, about further endorsements. And some of those endorsements have come with a lot of perks, including mailings from those organizations and more. So I do encourage anybody who is running a green campaign, don't just look to your constituents, don't just look to organizations in your town. There's a lot of help that you can get on a regional or a state level as well. So reach out as much as you can, make sure that people are aware that a Green's running, because it's amazing to me still that so many people don't know what the Green Party is or what we stand for. And keep fighting the good fight. Thank you.
I'm Jim Connolly. I'm from Clinton. I'm running for the Planning and Zoning Commission in a town that currently typifies white working class decline and panic. White people have a lot of privileges in this country, but they're living less long. Their general health is declining. And it turns out the realization that the big screw is coming down on them, just like everybody else, is slowly but surely spreading. Now, the planning and zoning thing is only a small part of this, but now you have to understand Clinton, by the way, Hugh Bertzel, you all know him, the great green troubadour, he's running for Board of Education in Clinton. We're in this thing together. Anyway, so planning and zoning, the shit hit the fan. I'm allowed to say that, right, Ron? Shit hit the fan about
Probably
6.
not in a meeting though.
Okay, not in the meeting?
Not in a planning and zoning meeting, in a Green Party.
Oh, hey, Clinton, they threatened each other with weapons. Okay.
What kind of weapons?
You know what the weapons? Lawsuits.
Yeah.
No, like right there in the meetings. It's being recorded. They threatened to sue each other. So the shit hit the fan about 6 months ago because there's a nice CVS over here, and somebody said, "Oh, you need a drive-through window, right?" Yeah, we need a drive-through window. So let's see. We're going to go over here, 4 doors down. Oh, and the second selectman of the town just happens to own that property, and nobody's been able to figure out how to zone it. Okay, because it's a really choice piece. It's in the center of town. It's the nicest piece of real estate, and so everybody has just been afraid to do anything with it for about 30 years. Well, why shouldn't CVS just move 4 doors down and second selectman it? And the shit hit the fan. And people just went ballistic because it was just so obvious, the oligarchy, the cronyism and everything. Look, you go down the list of office holders in Clinton, Connecticut, there are 3 names that keep jumping out. You go like, are they cousins? No, they're actually husband and wife. Oh, they must be cousins. No, they're actually father and son. Well, wait a minute. There's like 2 sons on one commission, and the guy who's in charge of the appeals commission that's right, their father. So people have put up with this for a long time, but the CVS thing was just too obvious. The shit hit the fan. Both the Democrats and the Republicans, the old faction, is now no longer in control. Okay, the new Democrats, if you will, and the new Republicans. Last night, amazingly enough, I went to the first selectman debate. There was about this much difference between the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate. It was a very enlightened debate. Actually, I thought, oh my God, I actually got a little bit of hope for this town. Because the insurgent factions and the intelligent factions in both parties prevailed. But they would very much like the planning and zoning issue that got the whole thing really sort of, just let that sort of simmer and drop out. It's my job to make sure that it doesn't simmer out and drop out. So I am deliberately being the ants at the picnic, being the, like, let's turn the heat up a little bit here with some videos and positive signs and everything. And I know I'm just going to be one office holder among many. But my basic pitch is this. Under Democratic and Republican domination, you have been brought low with cronyism and oligarchy in a town that already has very serious problems with declining population, very high tax burden. Don't you want to do something about that cronyism and about that oligarchy? Doesn't the Green Party sound like the antidote, the start of an antidote to cronyism and oligarchy? By the way,
Yes, it
I
does.
attended the dominant factions Republican Party meeting with 100 people on Sunday. They let me stand up and make a pitch for the vote. Do you know why? Only one of the 3 planning and zoning Republicans came to that meeting. The other 2 are sitting on their duffs waiting for the nominee to fall on his duff so that they can just come back in and take the party. Now, I didn't get officially endorsed, but I gotta tell you, it was a great joy to be able to see 100 people there who were responsive to me as a Green and telling them I'm a Green and I'm tired of the oligarchy in town. And they're going like, oh, oligarchy, yeah, oh, that's... And they're picking up on the term oligarchy, okay? So that inspired me. That's all.